Hey everyone, this is Daniel, and in today's video we're going to talk about Power Automate, change the from in emails. Now we've all made emails before, so that's not the focus of this video, but what you've noticed is when those emails do go out, and especially if you're the owner of the email, then your email address is from where all the emails are coming out from. And that can be fine if it's a small group or if it's even a small department, but what if it's a large department? Or what if it's across the entire company? Well, that can make things a little confusing. Therefore, in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can change the from in the email address. But first, here's my intro. So what I'm going to show you is how you can change the from in 3 email actions. And here's the ones that I'm talking about. In this case, I'm going to show you if you're using Outlook Mail, how do you go and change that? If you're using Mail, then how do you go and change it? And also using the SharePoint HTTP. And just to dive a little bit into each of those, using Outlook Mail, it actually requires another account, and I'll show you that. And over there in that other account, you want to set up the send on behalf access, and I'll show you that as well. Now, using Mail, it's actually another action that's already available. Over there, there's 2 kind of limitations. One is you cannot change the header, and I'll show you what the header is. And the same thing, it has a subscription text, and you cannot change that either. So kind of keep that in mind. And then finally, using the SharePoint HTTP, one of the things I want to clarify is that this is not the premier HTTP connector. This is still part of the SharePoint standard connector that you're using, so you don't have to pay extra for it. But that's the one I just want to clarify, because sometimes people, when they hear the word HTTP and SharePoint, like, that's got more licenses. Signal. This is part of the standard one over there, and I'll show you that. But it does have a low code requirement. All right. So now that you understand the gist of this entire video blog, let's jump into it. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have a flow already created. This flow is actually tied to a very simple SharePoint list over here, and it all just works. So what I'll do is let me just run through a quick demo, and just to be safe, I don't want to run it by myself because I'm the owner of this flow. In fact, as you can see over here, this is the email. This is the flow, and I'm the owner of the flow. And the flow is very simple and very straightforward. If you go in over here, you can actually take a look. Then when a new item is created in SharePoint, it's a very simple SharePoint site. 2 things I've done is I've gone ahead and added the arrival date and the departure date into Compose, because that's usually how the dates usually show up. And then once I've put those over here, I've gone ahead and created this 2, and the 2 is created by email, which means whoever is the one who has submitted that request, they are the ones who are getting the email. And then it's just the subject that, hey, a new item has been submitted by. In fact, I'm going to change that new item to a new reservation has been submitted by, first name, last name. Do not reply to this automated email, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. That's the simple part. That's not the emphasis of this email, but I still wanted to show it to you. Now, again, just so that I can clarify, make sure I save it, make sure I clarify, I'm the owner of this email, so I'm not going to be the one sending it. I want to make this as realistic as possible. So I have now logged into Elijah over here. Elijah is another user in this company, and now he is going to submit a request. So here, again, for the sake of this demo, I already had a really nice list over here with a customized form. So that's what I'm going to use as an example. So Elijah is now putting in a hotel reservation. So I'm going to put in Elijah, Christian, address 123, Main Street Boulevard. I'll say that as West End, or Western Jefferson, State, North Dakota. Let's go with that. 54321. I want a single bed. Smoking, non-smoking. I'm honoring cash. I'm going to put that 0. Pets, yes, I am actually going to get a pet. That's going to be a dog. Notes, only 1 dog. Arrival date, so I'm going to arrive on Monday, which is on the 23rd, and I'm going to depart on the 26th. And everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and save it. So a new entry has gone ahead and put in, and any second now, I should get an email. And I'm going to wait over here, because an email will come through. And now what you know is while this is happening, that flow that I showed you has kicked off, and it is going to go ahead and send an email with all that information that I put in over here, just as a friendly email notification that, hey, you went ahead and submitted this hotel reservation. So there you go. I got it. Now, first thing you noticed, the email came from Daniel Christian. Daniel Christian, which is the owner of that email, which means he actually created that. When I come in, everything looks great. The email came to Elijah Christian. All the hotel information, everything's there. But just the thing is that it still came from this person, Daniel Christian. So that can cause a little bit of confusion. Like sometimes people may not know that this is actually an automated email. They might actually be confused that this is an email that directly came from Daniel. It didn't come from an automated system over there. So that can be one confusion. And then the thing which I mentioned is that if this is going across a large department, large enterprise, that can be a little confusing. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to show you the first technique, which is using the Outlook mail itself. This is the Outlook mail over here, but how I can go ahead and modify it. Now, requirements for modifying it over there is I can go ahead and use something called as send on behalf of. And on behalf of means that I'm going to create another email, like an automated email type of account, whatever email account, and I'm going to use that email account to send on behalf of Daniel. But first thing I got to do is I got to create that email. So if you are a global admin, then you can go ahead and do this. Otherwise, you will have to either get in touch with the global admin to go ahead and create this Exchange mailbox, or if your company is big and it needs to be segregated, then you'll have to put in a request for your Exchange team. Whoever, here's what needs to be done. All right, so if you are the Exchange person or the global admin, this is the step where you need to follow through. All right, so I'm coming in over here. I'm coming in now into first users, and I'm going to create a new user. So I'm coming and I'm going to call this as automated hotel response. All right, just call that as automated hotel response, and I'll just call this as a hotel. Let's do the whole thing. Automated hotel response. Put that in. That's my email address. Let me just create a password. Gone ahead and created a password. System looks good. I'll keep all of this as is, and I do have to assign a license for this one. So for this one, I'm going to just, the only one I personally have spare is an E5 one, but you can use whatever you want as long as it comes with an Exchange Online license. That's the key thing, all right? So I go ahead and do this, and I'll finish adding it, and everything should be good. And yep, we are good. What I'll do is I'll also go ahead and just grab this email address over here. Just go ahead and grab that just in case I need to type that in, and click on close. And we should be done. In fact, I'll scroll down over here, and there you go, automated hotel response. Got it. Everything's good. Now, it does take a few extra minutes for that to show up on the Exchange site. And why do I need to go there? Because that's where I go and set up the on behalf of. So I come back over here, and I'm going into the Exchange site, or this is the Exchange Online. And Exchange Online, first thing I got to do is I got to go to the mailboxes. And on the mailboxes, any second now I should show up over here. Now, it usually takes about 2 to 5 minutes. That's what I've noticed. In fact, as I was doing a test, by the time I created that mailbox, or created an account, it took a solid 5 minutes to show up over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wait patiently, and I'll just fast forward through this. There you go. So it showed up. Automated hotel response. That's the email address over there. Now, when I go in over here, I got to click on that, and I got to go to mail delegation. Now, in mail delegation, I got to scroll down, and just don't be confused, because the one you want to do is send on behalf. And here's what it means. The send on behalf permissions allows the delegate to send email on behalf of this mailbox. And in this case, since I am the owner of that email, I'm the one who is sending that email on this behalf. So I'm selecting that. I'm going to go ahead and add. Okay. Save. Everything looks good. And we are done on the Exchange site. I'll go ahead and leave that as is. All right. So now let me come back to this email, this flow that I had created. So I come over here, and I'm going to select that, edit it, and I'm going to make a change, but right on the trigger. This is right away. Actually, not on the trigger. I'm going to come right down to the send an email. And on the show advanced, there is actually an option. It says from and then send as. But the reason I wanted to kind of prep you with the mailbox thing and everything, because this is actually where it also confirms that it requires send as or send behalf of. So you have to do all of this. Don't try to trick the system by saying, you know what, I'm just going to put my name over there and see if it works. It won't work. You've got to put in that send on behalf of. Now, hopefully, if you already have an email, which an automated email or a general automated email system that you use for your flow, fine, go ahead and use that as well. Not a problem. But this is where you got to go ahead and do it. And you got to make sure that you are the delegatable person over there. All right, so now I'm going to come in. I'll just go ahead and type that in. That's why I did the copy over there, because it picked it up, which is great. Other thing I can do just to be on the safe side is I can also put the reply to, and I can put that over here. That way, for whatever reason, it doesn't get replied to you, who is the owner. It always goes to the automated hotel response. So I'm going to go ahead and save this now. So it is saved. And let's just pretend that I am Elijah, and I'm going to go ahead and submit another request and a reservation. I'll do this for somebody else. Inspector Gadget, address 541 Hickson Boulevard, or build city. Let's just put it as Dallas, state Texas 12345. I am going to use a double bed, smoking, non-smoking, cash 0. Pet, Inspector Gadget is going to get his guinea pig. Notes, need more power outlets. Arrival. I'm going to put that arrival again, that date, departure, and we're good. Saving it. And it has gone through. A new entry came in. And any second now, that email should come out over here. But there'll be a little change. Just to recap, this one over here, the first one that I created without making that change, it came from Daniel Christian over here. See that? And then it also, everything was good, but it came from Daniel Christian. Now see what's going to happen. So it came in. Did you see that? That looks a lot nicer. And it actually, just by visually seeing it, you know that this didn't come from Daniel Christian. This came from an automated hotel response and an automated email system. And just psychologically, it just sits well with people over here. But let me go and click on it. And when I click on it, I see something. I said, well, Daniel Christian on behalf of automated hotel response. It's like, okay, this is still not too bad. And for some of you, if this is good enough, you can just stop the video right now and, go ahead and make that change in your system and you're all good. But if you're interested to see what the other two styles are, fine, go ahead and stay along with that as well. And that is it. The good thing is, in the email right over there in the subject, it says that, hey, this is an automated email. And then everything else is the exact same way. And you can see the difference. Everything is the exact same way, except this one shows automated hotel response. And that actually shows me, who was the owner. But let's take it now to the next level. In the next level, there is actually a using mail option available. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back into as a creator. And what I'll do is let me go ahead and disable this one. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. And I already have another one over here. Let me turn that on. And let's take a look at that. So this one's trigger is still the same when an item is created. And over here, I have done nothing. See, no advanced settings whatsoever. Everything else is also the same. Arrival date, I've gotten the arrival date from the SharePoint columns, arrival date over here. But this is new. And just to show you what it is, if you come in and choose a new action, and if you do send an email, see, it's not that Outlook email. It's not this one. It is send an email notification version 3. That's the one that you have to do. And don't worry, this is not a Premier license required. That's basically what it is. All right. So that, you see, that's what I used over there. That's how I got it. And in here, basically the body and everything is the exact same. Created by, a new reservation has been made. Basically, all of this is the exact 100% same. Only thing I did is in the new step, I went ahead and got a new action. And that action name is send an email notification version 3. That's the only difference. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'll just make sure that this one is actually on. It is turned on. And let's now go ahead and actually run it. In fact, it might have even send me an email automatically. Sometimes Flow tends to do that. So let's just go see. It actually already did. Great. So we can just go see. See what it did? It went ahead and sent me those emails all over again, because sometimes Flow in the backend just kind of lingers a little bit. It's like, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait. Oh, I did see SharePoint went ahead and sent this new alert. So it just went and sent it out. But that's great. The exact same thing would happen to you as well. And if you, for the sake of example, I would have actually put in a new entry and you would have gotten this email alert. But here it is, all right? Here's the email alert. And it said a new reservation came in. But here's the beauty. There is no send on behalf of. What it does is it just said Microsoft Power Apps and Power Automate. And the email address is microsoft@powerapps.com. So no sign whatsoever that it came from the owner, which was Daniel Christian. No sign whatsoever. It says who it went to, and then everything else is the same. Now, when I was talking about the things on the, the two differences which are there on the using mail, the only two differences, I have no control on changing this. So I can't change it to, automated system has sent this, or your company name has sent this. None of that. This is it. It can only say Microsoft Power Apps and Power Automate. That's all it does. And it's got this little confusing footer over here. It says, if you want to unsubscribe from these emails, please use this form. If you click on it, it actually is in Power Form, and it gives you this confusing option over here. And I'm a little concerned about using this, because what if it just takes off my subscription for all the email notifications? I don't want that confusion. So I'm gonna not select this whatsoever. I don't even want to test it. I just want to take this off here. Go ahead and test it if you want. But I don't have the option to go ahead and actually take this out over here. Again, if this is something that is fine for you, says, Daniel, this is good enough, I'm ready to go ahead and start using this, fine. You can stop right here and move forward, and you're good. But if you are still a little concerned about changing this in a naming over here, and you're a little wary of this one over here, stick around. And now let's take a look at the last option, which is using the SharePoint HTTP. So I'm going to go back over here now. Hopefully the SharePoint HTTP doesn't kick off. So let me go back as me, as the maker. I'm going to come in. I'm going to turn this one off. I'm going to go to the flow. And what I'll do is actually this one, I'll create it for the first time, right? So we're going to come in now here to new. And in new, I'm going to create one from blank. And the blank, I'll go ahead and skip this. And I'll say the Power Automate change the from email demo. The trigger is going to be from SharePoint when a new item is created. So that's my trigger. There, let me go and pick up my SharePoint list. And I'm doing the trigger from the SharePoint list. Yours could be anything else. It could be from CDS over there. It could be from any data source. Just make sure that your trigger option is available over here. So where is that? Yeah. All right, so we took care of that. In this case, I don't have to make any changes in the advanced options. I do have to go ahead and get that arrival date and departure date. For some reason, it just doesn't like when I directly add that into the email. So I got to go ahead and get it, put it in the compose over there, and then reference that compose. Don't know why it doesn't like it, but that's the way it is. So I'm just going to stick with it. All right, get the departure as well. Nope, no, come on, Daniel. There, get it, departure. And now is the final step. And that final step is I'm going to go to the SharePoint. I'm going to grab the SharePoint here. And I'm going to use this option. Just make sure I see it all the way. Go up there. And I'm going to do the send an HTTP request to SharePoint. That's the one that I'm going to do. Over here, by default, I got to go ahead and grab that site again. So that's my POC site. And then after that, here are the steps that we've got to do. So in the steps, that's pretty simple and straightforward. What I got to first do is I got to use the method. And the method is actually not going to be get, even though it looks and sounds, feels like I'm just getting information, you still got to put in a post over here, okay? So that's what it is, a post. And then here is the first URI that you got to put in. And the URI, I've already gone ahead and pasted that in the description down there. So if you do, make sure that you don't have any typos, just go ahead and copy it and paste it, because that's what I'm doing. But basically the URI, this is a API call that you're doing. And the API for SharePoint Online is very specific. That's why that is the API for sp.utilities.utility.send email. That's the call that you're doing, all right? Because this is SharePoint sending it as an email now. We are actually telling SharePoint to send an email. See, if you think about it, that actually now makes sense. So that initially it's like, Daniel, I'm just getting information. But no, you're telling SharePoint to send an email through SharePoint and put in this information. That's why that's a post over here. Got it? And then we're moving along. And over here in the headers, I got to put in accept. And then in the accept piece, I got to put in this section over here. Again, this is more for us to communicate with the SharePoint API in a secure and authenticated fashion as well. That's why you've got to put in this JSON application for odata and non-metadata. But you've got to do this. You just can't get around it. You've got to do this. But it's a very simple and low code. So you've gone ahead and taken care of the main, the header piece of it, so to speak. You've gone ahead and taken that. Now comes the body, which is what all do you want SharePoint to send on your behalf. And for that, you've got a very simple framework that you got to put in. I'm going ahead and putting that in right now. We can take a look at it. So basically, I'm going ahead and opening a curly brackets and closing that curly brackets. And then I'm going ahead and grabbing all the properties. Which are the properties do you want SharePoint to send on SharePoint's behalf? So you got to say that these are the properties. That's why you start with the properties. Now, I want to pause and say that it is imperative. It's absolutely imperative that you do it this way. Because anytime you try to do something by, say, I skipped this one double quotes, or I spilled, skip this one single apostrophe or whatever, you miss that and it'll start giving you errors. So it's very critical that you follow this over here. Now, granted, you can skip spaces and this and that, but this function this format it's very important that you go ahead and do that. All right. So now the first thing I'm going to do is the 2 inside that, and I'm going to kind of zoom in a little bit even for me. So coming in here, and inside the 2, I'm going to come in and I'm going to go one behind. See, because there's already the comma. I want to stay on the left side of the comma. And now when I do that, I get my, I'm going to send it to, and it's going to go to the created by email. I could even put in just the first name or the last name, but I'm going to do it by the created by email. So created by, that's it, display name over here. And I got to put in, make sure that it goes this way. Open brackets, comma, apostrophe, close brackets. That's basically what it is. Now, here's the interesting thing that I've noticed over here is only in the 2 does it actually take these attributes from here. For some reason, that's only how it works. Is all these attributes that you see, it only works in the 2. In the subject, in the body, you've either got to put it in a compose variable, a variable, or in a compose statement. That's the only way that it works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first go ahead and save this over here, and I got to start grabbing all that stuff. So I've already got the arrival date, I've got the departure date, but I want to also put in things such as, is it a single bed or a double bed, smoking, non-smoking, stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to do. Also, I can grab the customer name. So I'll do actually 2 ways. I'm going to use a variable and then also continue with the compose one. And the reason I'm putting this variation over here is because you might already have a flow which has got, variables over there. And now you want to test this out. I was like, there is actually a way I can send it from the system. So I'm just going to remove that little piece from my flow. And that's what I'm trying to do is I'm creating these variables, giving you these different options for your sake over there. So in the variable, I'm going to come in and I want to start creating these variables, and I'm going to initialize a variable. In this variable, I'll actually call that as, I already got the arrival and the departure. I'm going to call this as single or double. This will be a string, and the value for this one is going to be, coming in, I'm going to go grab single or double, got that. I'm going to initialize this and call that as single or double. Next, I'm going to also call this as smoking or non-smoking. Call that as variable. Going to go ahead and initialize it. Non-smoking. Again, this will also be string. Go ahead and grab that from here. And this is smoking or non-smoking. Smoking value. Change that name. All right, so gone ahead and taken care of that. Now I'm going to go ahead and put that in over here. I got to be very, very careful. So first things, let's go ahead and actually start adding some subject and start adding some information. So in the subject right here, I got to make sure I put that in correctly. I'm going to open the single quote and close it. Perfect. And I'm going to say a new reservation has been submitted by, and here I can actually put in, oh, I haven't done that. So let me go do that as well. Put that in, and I'm going to call that as, let's do another variable just for grins and giggles. And I'll call that as initialize. And I'm going to call this as customer name. I'm showing you why I'm saying it that way. Again, to show as a good example. And in this variable itself, I'm going to put in first name, space, last name. Let me change the variable name. again, customer name var. All right. Simple way, again, just to do some variations to show that this combination works. And you might already have this, therefore I'm making it easier for you. So it has been submitted by, we're back over here inside, and I've put in that customer name. Okay, so it went ahead and took it, and we are good. Now in the body, I want to kind of replicate what I have in those other emails. So remember, there was a top, in the first section of the body, there was a do not reply to this automated email. So it's kind of stern way. I want to do that as well. Now here, there's a little bit of that HTML code that you gotta be familiar with. Remember, there's this neat website called w3schools.com. Over there, there's nice HTML training things over there. So if you're familiar with HTML, ignore what I just said, move forward over here. But if you're new to HTML, go check out w3schools.com, and I'll put that link below over here. All right. So here we've already opened that single quote and closed it. So I'm going to decide to start at the next line, and I will do first I want to put bold, okay. And in the bold, I'm going to say, go to start with some 1, 2, 3 hashtags, and says, do not reply to this automated email. And then 1, 2, 3 hashtag, closing the bold. All right. And then I'm going to put this BR for break. And again, this may sound look a little different. It's like, Daniel, you never even opened the break over here. Why are you just closing it? That's just the way this code for this body works. All right. So just take my word for it. And if you want to go ahead and test it and try something else, fine. Just don't do that. Because normally, I know in HTML, you don't have to put this back closing slash, but that's the way it requires over here. So just do it. Did that. And then I'm going to, did the two over here. I'm going to say a hotel reservation was submitted by, and here I'll go ahead and grab that same one. Customer name dot, and I'm going to come back over here, click on it, dot, here are the details. And again, another break. And so arrival date. I'm going to start typing the other ones. Departure date. Single or double. Yeah, single or double bed. And then finally, scroll down a little bit. And here it is smoking or non-smoking. All right, so now I've done all of that. Come over here. First one is the arrival date. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the arrival date. Perfect. Got that over here. Departure. Perfect. Single or double. Single or double. And then smoking or non-smoking. That was this one over here. Smoking or non-smoking. And save. Now it looks a lot simple because I've gone ahead and done it. I've done this many times, so it makes it easier for me to do it. But I'm not saying that it might happen to you, but it's chances that you might have mixed a little bit of text here and there. And the first few times you run it, you might get a few errors. 99.99% of the time, your flows failing is right over here. So it's absolutely imperative that you forward this technique that I've shown you over here, and that's basically how it'll work. So what I want to do is I'm going to come back over here and just make sure that, because I got a few other flows which I was building this, go ahead and close them all. Perfect. So that's the only one that's active. Let's do it again. Let me go ahead and now jump in as Elijah and like submit another request. And I'm going to submit this one for let's say for Iron Man 123 South Boulevard Street. He lives in California. Got that. I remember that. I forgot which place he lives in. Let's do something else. 54321. Zero pet. Does Iron Man have any pets? I'm sure he's got some dogs. Need a very, very large balcony. So he can just fly out from there. Cool. There. Okay. There. There. All right. So we're good. Let's go ahead and save it. A new entry was created. Now, let's just wait. So we need to go and uncheck these ones. That way. And we wait. So let's see what happens. Remember, we went ahead and now this is how SharePoint is going to make an HTTP call. And from SharePoint, it is going to come. So I'm guessing that somewhere over here, we will see SharePoint reference over there when a new entry has been made. There. Did you see that? Well, a new mail came in, but Daniel, where did this POC come from? Well, the POC came from the actual SharePoint site name. If you come over here, you see we were so focused on the list, but the site name, the SharePoint site name, see POC over here, you see POC, that's where the SharePoint site name came from. Now, for some of us SharePoint people, this is very normal. It's like, oh, I've seen this back from the SharePoint server days. This is normal. And this is actually very close to home. This is, helps us feel that this is coming from SharePoint. The other thing that I want you to focus on is see the POC no-reply at SharePointonline.com. So this didn't come from on behalf of the owner. It didn't come from the Power Apps and Power Automate. It came straight from SharePoint Online because remember we made that HTTP call with the post over there. And then everything else is the same. Hotel reservation was made, all of this information over here, that was all the same. So you see that most of it we were able to keep it very similar, but it all depends. The big changes is from whom it's coming. So hopefully this video was helpful to you. And as a quick recap, I was able to show you how we can change the from in all the emails that are sent over there. So it no longer just shows you're the one who sent it because you're the owner. It actually shows that it came from an automated system, which is the flow. I showed you 3 ways to do it. There was the actual Outlook mail, the regular Outlook mail that you actually never used, but I was able to go in the advanced sections and change some stuff over there. The second technique was to use the mail, not the Outlook mail, but just the mail action over there. And over there was a few hiccups over there. You can't change the header. It always says from Power Apps and Power Automate. And then there was the footer with that link over there. Can't change that. But if you're fine with it, then you definitely move forward with that. And then the third one was if this is a flow or where the SharePoint is the back-end data source, then use that HTTP call. The only change over there is it comes directly from SharePoint and it'll have the site name on the top over there. But for the SharePoint people, it's very comfortable and not a problem. So hopefully this was helpful. And as always, keep power automating.